Hi there everybody, welcome back to my channel. So a few months back I had posted a video on my most favorite foundations from the drugstore, and I was supposed to do another one on my favorite high-end foundations, but somehow that video got pushed back and delayed, and finally today I am filming this video. So I hope you enjoy watching it, and now let's get started. So I would be sharing with you my top 8 most favorite high-end foundations, and I would be starting from the bottom and I'll go up to my number 1. So before I get into the foundations, I just want to mention that I have pretty normal skin, but my T-zone can get a little bit oily, especially during summer, but during winter my skin overall is pretty normal. Now I have a wide range of foundations here, starting from something that would be perfect for really dry skin to something for super oily skin. So no matter what your skin type is, I'm pretty sure you'll find something that would match you perfectly. So at number 8, the foundation that I have is my MAC Face and Body. So this is a very lightweight foundation. It even feels strange to call this a foundation because it's more of like a tinted moisturizer, because it's really thin in consistency. It's almost like water. In fact, it is a water-based foundation, so it gives really light coverage, and it's really glowy and dewy, and it looks like your skin. Now if you have super oily skin, I really wouldn't recommend this foundation because, like I said before, it's very dewy and glowy, so it's gonna make you look like a shiny disco ball. But if you have dry skin, you would absolutely love it. Now I personally love to use this during winter when my skin is pretty much normal to dry, so this works fine with me, but I still do set it with a mattifying powder or else it can get a little too shiny for me. Although this gives a very light sheer coverage, but you can build it up to a medium coverage. It's really buildable. It doesn't look cakey or anything. Even if you pile on like 4 or 5 layers of this, it would still look great on your skin. It even works great if you want to mix it with any other heavy foundation. It would help to make it a thinner consistency, and I am in the shade C3 in this. By the way, I also decided to share with you the tools that I use for each of these foundations. So for the MAC Face and Body, I like to use my Sigma F80 Kabuki brush, and this is how it looks. It's a flat top, dense brush. Please don't mind my brushes, they are really dirty because I've actually used it today and I haven't cleaned it up yet. Now with most of my brushes, with most of my foundations, I actually prefer using my beauty blender, but for this one, because it's so thin and watery, a beauty blender would soak it up right in, so I like to use a flat dense brush like this. By the way, all the prices and my shades for all of these foundations would be listed down below in the description box. I don't exactly remember how much each of these are priced, so I can't really mention it right now. Alright, so the next foundation that I have is actually a powder foundation, and it's from Bare Minerals. So this foundation is also really lightweight. It looks very natural on the skin, and the one I'm using is this original formula, so it has a little bit of a sheen, so it makes your skin look really glowy and natural. But they also do have a matte version, so if you have really oily skin and you don't want that extra shine, you can go for that matte one. So this, I feel, is a really easy to wear foundation. It's a powder, it's very easy to apply, it doesn't look heavy or cakey. Even after like 2-3 layers, it's not gonna look like you have a lot of makeup on. And I absolutely love it for days when I don't want a lot of makeup but I still want a little bit of coverage. It's perfect for those days. It has a light to medium coverage, so with just maybe 1 layer on, it would give you a light wash of color, but with 2 or 3 layers, you can get a pretty good medium coverage. And I usually like wearing this foundation during summer because I don't really like wearing heavy foundation during those hot and humid days, so it's perfect for those days. And in this one, I'm in the shade Light W15, which is a little bit lighter than my skin tone, but the next shade which matches me pretty well is Golden Medium, I believe, but that one can be a little too goldeny, so I kind of prefer this one. And for such powder foundations, I like using these sort of round top kabuki brushes. Oh my god, you can see the powder flying. But anyways, I like using such round top powder brushes. This one is also dirty because I've used it recently and I didn't clean them. Please do excuse me. I feel these sort of densely packed brushes work really great with such powder foundations. Next up, I have this Too Faced Born This Way foundation. I absolutely love the packaging of this foundation. It looks really fancy and well made. Now, I absolutely love how this foundation looks on me. It actually looks like your skin and it doesn't look like you're wearing a lot of makeup. It doesn't look heavy or cakey on the skin. The color matches me pretty well. I am in the shade Natural Beige and it gives a very nice sort of a satin finish. It's not really dewy or very matte. It's kind of in between, which I feel is perfect. Now, it has a really nice medium coverage. It's medium to buildable, so you can build it up to a full coverage, and even after 2 or 3 layers of this, it's not going to look cakey or heavy. Now, I love everything about this foundation, but there's actually one downside to this. Maybe that's the reason it's towards the second half or the lower portion of my ranking, and that is it doesn't really last on my skin for a very long time. Although this foundation doesn't claim to be a long-lasting foundation, but still I feel if I have to be outside for a really long time or I'm going out for like a special occasion or something, I kind of hesitate to wear this foundation because I know after maybe like 5 or 6 hours it can start to wear off, especially around my nose area. Like after 5 or 6 hours I would see that the foundation has completely disappeared from this area, and I definitely don't want it when I'm attending a special event or something. So I feel this foundation would work great for normal to even dry skin, but if you have really oily skin, it might not really last for that long on your skin. Now, I only have a really oily T-zone. The rest of my face is pretty normal, and this foundation looks absolutely great and it lasts for a really long time all over my face except for my nose area. So if you have oily skin, it might not work that great for you, but I still feel you can work with it. Maybe if you use a mattifying primer underneath, or if you're going out for like 5 or 6 hours, then you can surely give this a try. And for this, I like to use my trusty old beauty blender. Although a brush works perfectly fine with it, but I feel the beauty blender gives a more natural look. By the way, this foundation actually comes with a pump, which I feel is an added benefit, because I absolutely hate foundations, especially high-end foundations, if they don't have a pump, because I feel then it makes it really unhygienic and also difficult to use. So next up, the foundation that I have is an oldie but a goodie, and it is my Nars Sheer Glow foundation. So this was actually one of the first high-end foundations that I got, and I absolutely loved it back in those days. But at that time, I had not really used a lot of high-end foundations. But now when I've used like a ton of foundations in general, I do have a better sense of it. So I still feel it's a great foundation, but I've definitely found a few that are even better than this. Maybe that's why it's at the 5th position. And this foundation doesn't actually come with this pump. You have to buy it separately. I believe this is $5 or $10. I don't exactly remember. It originally comes with a lid, like a screw-on top lid, but I bought this pump because I actually prefer pumps on my foundations. Although the name of this foundation is Sheer Glow, but it isn't sheer and neither is it glowy. It is a medium coverage, medium to full coverage. In fact, you can build it up, and it isn't really that glowy. It's not even super matte. I would say it has a nice demi-matte finish. I know the name is a little confusing and it actually contradicts with the formulation, but overall I feel it's a really great foundation. And by the way, in this one, I'm in the shade Punjab. Now, Punjab has a peachy undertone which isn't that perfect for me, but the next shade, which is Stromboli, which has a really nice yellow olivey undertone, can be a little too dark on me. That's why I actually prefer Punjab. Now, even though this foundation doesn't claim to be a long-lasting foundation, but still it works perfectly fine on my skin and it lasts forever. I don't have any issues with it. It stays put all over my face, even on my oily T-zone. It doesn't fade away or anything. and I just absolutely love it. And it also doesn't have SPF, so it doesn't give a white cast in flash photography. Oh, I forgot to mention the SPF factor in the previous foundations. So the first one that I showed was the face and body. Does this have SPF? Well, it doesn't say anything about SPF, so very likely this doesn't have any. The next one was the Bare Minerals one, and it has SPF 15, but it still doesn't give a white cast or anything. And the Too Faced one also doesn't have SPF, so it also looks great in flash photography. Okay, so now we are on to the top 4 foundations, and at number 4 I have my Bare Minerals Bare Skin Liquid Foundation. Now, I don't really hear a lot of people talking about this foundation. I don't really know why, because I feel it's a really great foundation. So this is really lightweight. It actually reminds me a lot of the MAC Face and Body. It's that liquidy and watery, but it has like really great coverage. It is medium to full coverage. So with just 3 or 4 drops, you can actually get a flawless full-on coverage with this, and it doesn't look heavy or cakey. And like I said before, it is like a watery consistency, so it feels really lightweight. It doesn't really feel like you're wearing a lot of makeup. They have a really good shade range. They have really nice olivey or yellow undertone shades, which I think is really great, and I am in the shade Bare Nude 09. This has a really nice olivey goldeny sort of an undertone, and I absolutely love it to mix in with some other foundations, especially foundations with neutral or cooler undertones, because it helps to kind of warm them up and match with my skin tone. So this is actually in full size. It has 30 ml, but it's also available in a deluxe size. So if you're interested to try this foundation out, maybe you can go for the smaller size. This foundation doesn't have a pump. It actually has this screw-on lid, and the nozzle kind of looks like a dropper. And for this one also, I like using such a dense flat top kabuki brush, because as it's really watery, if you use a beauty blender, it's just going to soak in all the products. So such a flat top dense brush works best with this. So this is where it gets really intense. Now the last 3 foundations that I have, I absolutely love. So it was really difficult for me to rank them, but I had to do it. So the foundation that I've placed at the 3rd position was actually very difficult to decide. I just couldn't decide between my number 2 and my number 3, but after a lot of deliberation, I finally decided to choose the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Foundation. So this foundation is absolutely amazing. It's one of my holy grails. It's a must-have, whether you have normal skin, dry skin, oily skin, whether you like light coverage, medium, full coverage, whatever your foundation needs are. I'm sure you would love this foundation. It's that great and versatile. I feel it works for almost everybody. So this again has a really nice satin finish. It's not too dewy or matte. It's kind of in between and has a really nice demi matte finish. And that's what I feel makes it so versatile, that it works for every sort of skin. It gives a really natural medium coverage, but you can always build it up. It doesn't look cakey or heavy. And the best thing about this foundation is that it looks absolutely beautiful in photos and videos. Well, it is an Ultra HD foundation, and it was designed to look that great in HD videos and pictures. So this is perfect for brides or for any special occasions when you know you would be photographed or you would be in video, because this would make you look absolutely flawless. And it doesn't have any SPF, so you don't have to worry about that white cast or anything. So if I have any special occasion to attend, this is my go-to foundation for that. And by the way, I am in the shade Y345. And to make things even better, this actually comes with a pump. And the bottle is not glass, so it's really easy to travel with. You don't have to worry about it breaking. I know glass bottles look really fancy and expensive, but there's always that risk of it breaking, and it can also be a little heavy, and you definitely don't want to carry any extra heavy weight when you're traveling. So now we are down to the wire, and the foundation in the 2nd position, the runner-up in this ranking, is my Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation. Now this was my most favorite foundation, like my number 1 foundation for the longest time. Even like when I actually decided to make this video, that was like 5 or 6 months back, this was actually supposed to be the winner of this whole competition. But within these few months, I have actually found something which is even better than this. I am so sorry, Double Wear, but you would always have a special place in my heart. So let's get into all the good things about this foundation. So first of all, it is full on coverage. If you want that flawless full coverage, this would be your BFF. And it lasts forever. I mean, it would literally probably last like the whole day. I've never had any issues with it fading. So even after it being such heavy coverage, it's not cakey or heavy on the face. It doesn't look unnatural at all. And I feel even if you have normal to dry skin also, you can still wear this. It is pretty matte, but it's not like super duper drying matte. So I feel starting from like oily skin to normal to even dry skin, everybody can make this foundation work for them. And I feel their shade range is absolutely perfection. I mean, it is divided in such an organized way. It's really easy to pinpoint and find out your perfect shade. I am in the shade 2W2 Rattan, and it has the most beautiful yellow undertone that matches my skin tone perfectly. And I feel it was actually because of the shade that none of my other foundations could ever beat this. Like, it was my #1 for such a long time, mainly because of the shade, as I've never found any other foundation matching me this perfectly. And it even looks really fancy and expensive because of this frosted glass bottle. But the reason why it's in the second position is, first of all, it has SPF. So it can give you that white ghostly cast in flash photography, which isn't really that ideal, but I feel you can still work with it. It's not that bad, but it can make you look a little white. And the other downside to this is that it doesn't actually have a pump. So it is like this, so you have to pour it out, which I feel, you know, kind of wastes the product a lot because you can't really control how much you're taking out. But other than these two factors, I absolutely love it. And in fact, I can actually look past this like cap situation, but the SPF can be a little bit of a headache at times. Like when I know I would be going for special occasions, this used to be my holy grail, but I would always be a little conscious around flash photography. By the way, please do excuse the dogs barking outside on the road. It's like a regular thing. I don't really know what to do about them. So as you can probably tell that I'm filming this part at a later date. In fact, after almost 2 weeks I'm filming it. So what happened was, as I was editing this video, I realized that I was missing a file. I don't really know what happened because it recorded fine, but I just couldn't find the footage on my SD card, and as I don't really know what has happened, I don't even know how to recover the file. So I had no other option than to film it again. So that's what I'm doing here. So the #1 foundation in my list is my Marc Jacobs Remarkable foundation. So this is a relatively new foundation in my collection. I only got it recently, maybe around a few months back or so. And ever since then, I am in love with it because it is like my perfect foundation. So all the things that I would want in my ideal foundation, it has all those features. So it gives a really nice full coverage, but it doesn't make you look cakey. It is matte, but at the same time, it's not matte to the point where your skin looks dry or flaky. It gives a very natural sort of a look, but still it stays matte all day. It lasts forever. I actually wore this foundation like for a day out, and I was literally under the sun for like 4 or 5 hours, and my foundation didn't budge. I wasn't shiny or greasy or anything at all, and my skin looked flawless. The bottle itself looks really fancy. It's like a frosted glass bottle with this black lid on top, so it looks really chic. One thing that I don't really like about this foundation is actually a problem with the packaging. So it actually comes with this wand sort of a thing, which I feel is a little weird. I don't know why they've put something like this. It would have been so much better if it was just like a regular pump. So it's kind of like this wand, so you have to dot it all over your face using this wand, which I don't feel is that hygienic, because you're touching your skin and then you're dipping it inside the bottle, inside the foundation. So apart from this, everything else I absolutely love. And the best part is it doesn't have SPF like my Estee Lauder Double Wear, so it is even ideal for flash photography and it looks really great in photographs. Oh, by the way, I'm in the shade 33 beige in this and it matches me perfectly fine. It has the perfect yellow undertone for my skin tone. And it is $55, which I know is a little expensive. In fact, this is probably my most expensive foundation, but I honestly feel that it's worth every penny. So if you like matte, full coverage, flawless foundation, then I would highly recommend this. And the bottle is not actually grass. So I would be sharing my top and filming in Bangladesh can be a really big challenge. I can't film during the day because it's really crowded and there's a lot of traffic on the road, and at night it's the dogs that are barking.